you a musician interested in improving your performance? Welcome to Notes on Jazz. I'm your host, Keith Davis. If you want to learn more about jazz improvisation, harmony, and composition, or just want to improve your piano skills, this is the place for you. We'll be hosting interviews with fellow musicians, offering tips and techniques on study and practice, and lots of other cool stuff. Whatever instrument you play, or if you're a vocalist, you will find something helpful and interesting here. So come hang out with us at Notes on Jazz. I'm here with my good friend and musical partner, Ron Brendle. Hi, Ron. How's it going today?
Very good. How about you?
Not bad, man. I've been looking forward to this. Ron's been gracious enough to agree to do my first interview for this podcast. Actually my first interview ever. So we'll see how it goes here. I'm hoping for the best. So just a little background. I've known Ron for quite a while. I was trying to remember when we actually met. I remember the time I first became aware of you was back in about 1998, 99 at the Brevard Jazz Festival. I just knew that you were playing there. I heard your name and someone told me, oh, there's Ron right there. I said, okay, well, we never actually met, but I became aware of you back then. I don't think we met until, I think the first time I actually met you was in Asheville at one of those composers forum.
It was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gerhardt, I think, maybe.
Yeah, Gerhardt, probably. You were playing with Bill, probably, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
But I remember the first time we ever played together, though, was at Sullivan's in Charlotte. Sullivan's Steakhouse. Yeah, you were playing that blonde bass, I remember. Do you remember what year that was?
That, I don't know. We haven't played.
2003?
Had to have been after 2001. So sometime in the early 2000s.
I remember we started playing together, and I was like, well, okay, I have to listen a whole different way playing with you, you know, because I just noticed how melodically you were playing. You know what I mean? It's like it was just a different experience for me to play with you. And right away, I just I knew that we were going to have a good time playing together, you know?
Yeah, I felt the same. Yeah. Played a thing together too down in Greenville with that trumpet player from Raleigh. Remember? And Seth was playing sax.
Oh yeah, Seth Carper.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Oh, that,
sorry, I can't
remember his name either.
Anyway, well,
the first time we played together.
I don't think that was the first time, but that was maybe the second or third time.
Yeah. But anyway, after we played together, we had a few other opportunities, and then I remember you and I started talking about we should do some recording together, you know, and then we ended up playing that gig with Justin Watt, and that was, I mean, we all just sort of looked at each other and went, wow, this is nice, you know, we should do this some more, and that sort of led into us forming this trio, right? And
yeah,
making a couple of CDs and playing not enough gigs yet, but hopefully more to come. Since we've known each other a long time, we've talked a lot about all this stuff. So I didn't write down a whole lot of questions. I just thought that I'd ask you a few things, like how you got started playing music, first of all.
The act of actually trying to get a sound out of something was probably at my great-grandmother's house, my grandmother's mother out in Union Grove. She had an old pump organ.
Wow.
So I used to sit at that. I could barely reach the pump, but I got the concept of creating music from an object from that. Yeah. And I remember one specific time, I was at my grandma's house and she had her silverware set out, you know, and I picked up the knives and I started playing them like a xylophone, because I noticed that each, like the spoons had a different tone from the forks, and the forks had a different, you know. So I realized that something clicked in me at that point. I must have been like 5 years old or something like that. But I have to, I would go back to that memory all the time, you know, picking up something and producing tones out of something, or playing that old pump organ. That was, and then later I got interested in playing guitar.
Yeah.
I saw the Beatles live on the Ed Sullivan Show, in 1964, whenever it was. And I had to have a guitar pretty soon after that. So I started playing guitar around the age of 12. And I didn't really know how to read music. And I really wanted to be in the band. In elementary school, we used to have bands in elementary school. In the 5th grade, and I wanted to play saxophone, more than anything. And my parents, evidently, we couldn't afford it, and they didn't think I'd follow through with it. But I kind of regret that, because I learned to read music much later. I took I started taking piano lessons from a lady when I was in about 11th or 12th grade. And it was, reading, I can do it, but it's not, I'm not a brilliant sight reader or anything. I can look at something and figure it out, but I think if I had had the earlier training, it would become easier for me. But so I picked up a guitar at age 12, and I learned to read the chord symbols out of a Beatles songbook. And then I learned just how to listen to, once I found some chords, I could listen to music and pick them out, like listen to a record. So I largely learned how to play by ear, which comes easier to me now. And I played guitar. I was 12 in 1967. Yeah. So, played guitar all the way through high school, and some talent shows and things like that in local rock bands. And I was doing a high school talent show, and the assistant band director, I can't remember his name now, Ed Wall, I think, but he was a gigging musician too when he wasn't helping direct band. And he wanted me to play Blues in the Night with him on a talent show. He played acoustic piano and I played guitar, and that was so totally foreign to me, because I was used to playing in rock bands, with a drummer and bass player and everything, singers. So I said, just guitar and piano? He said, yeah. I said, just guitar and piano. We'll play a little blues. You can take a solo. And we did. And that was another kind of eye-opening moment for me. Like, so any two people can sit down, no matter what instrument they play, and play some music together. That was sounds kind of stupid now, but it was really an eye-opening experience.
No, I don't think that's stupid at all. I think that's a moment where it's like an epiphany. You go like, wow, this is a new thing you discovered.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I played like a blues lick on the piano. I was probably 12 or 13. I was just playing something like out of a Paul McCartney book or something, and I accidentally played this blues lick, and I was like, whoa, what just happened here? I was like, wow,
Yeah. Yeah. Felt something.
Yeah. You feel something, right? Yeah. Right.
But
So you played guitar for a while?
I played guitar through college.
Oh, okay. Right.
I went a couple of years at I grew up in Statesville, North Carolina, and there was a private college there for about 100 years called Mitchell College. And the year I graduated from high school, it became a community college. And so I went there for 2 years while living at home, but they had a really good music department. Martha Artuso was the piano teacher and taught music theory, and she played piano for the North Carolina Symphony. And Joanne Alexander was a great voice teacher, and I sang in the chorus and played guitar for things. And then I went to Appalachian State, ASU up in Boone, and I played guitar in the big band, in the college big band, which was another wonderful eye-opening experience, because I got introduced to real jazz when I was in college. I don't mean like real jazz, but I had been listening to like Mahavishnu Orchestra, things like that, Larry Coryell, and but I got to, we'd play the big band rehearsals, and I'd go hang out with some horn players, at their place afterwards, and we put on records. And that's where I first heard Charlie Parker and Miles and Eric Dolphy. And so I'm kind of a late bloomer in that respect, because I guess I was in my late teens before I really heard that kind of, real jazz. But I that was another eye-opening experience. And so I played guitar through college, and I got a job. What I went to school to do was to repair violins and cellos and basses, the stringed instruments, the fretless instruments, not the violin family. So I came to Charlotte to get to work for John Sipe, who was a violin maker. And during the time I was working there, he didn't like to work on the basses or cellos. So he would let me do that. So I would fix the basses, cut bridges, clean fingerboards, whatever, tune them up and pluck on them, and I got one day, I'm like, I could probably play one of these, Yeah. So I got really interested in that, especially after one of the people I met who it was a giant influence on me at ASU was Frank Kimbrough, who you know well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Frank,
Yeah, Frank. I met Frank in 1975. We were both students at Appalachian. And we discovered a lot of music together because Frank worked at a record store in Boone, and he took his payment in records.
Sounds like fun.
Or at least some of it, And
That's
he
correct.
would come up, and his apartment was above mine, I believe, in Boone, and he would come in with a stack of records and oh, you got to hear this new Miles Davis thing, Big Fun or whatever. And so group of us would, gather, in someone's apartment with a good stereo and put these records on, and it was just like as if we were watching a movie or something. We wouldn't talk. We would maybe comment a little bit, on something or another. But that was an important part of growing musically for me, was just listening and collective listening with other guys and other musicians. And
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, listening is so important. I try to stress that to all my students, that, you and I sort of have similar experiences. I was kind of a late starter at this too, but man, listening that's how you really learn. That must be half the learning process,
I think so. Yeah. You just get so many ideas.
You get you have so many ideas, and you get the feel of what it feels like. That's what I noticed about my students. My students aren't exposed to this music a lot. Young people aren't really exposed to this music very much, so they don't know what it feels like. And I think that's the idea of how the phrasing feels, and just the different styles, like whether it's swing or Latin or whatever style it is. You can't get that unless you listen to the music. So you said you played in the college. You played in the college jazz band, and back to that for a minute. So you must have been reading music on the guitar by then, to some degree.
Some degree, yeah. I could take it in the practice room and do it,
right?
But somebody put a chart with a written guitar line. I couldn't sight read it, but I could take it. I might take it to one of the saxophone players. I would I'd hear these guys practicing. There's a couple guys. They were good friends of mine up there. And I would take, hey man, play this for me on your saxophone, and I would have my little cassette recorder, and they would just play it for me. I learned it by ear.
Right, sure.
But
that's funny. I played in a college jazz band too, and I couldn't read either. I could read chord symbols of some. I was taking lessons by then, But I always had a hard time reading. I'm still not comfortable with sight reading. I can read
for me, unless it's real easy. Unless it's quarter notes.
Yeah, right. Sure. I feel the same way. I'm real timid about sight reading. In front of people, especially.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
So you switched over to bass at that point when you were playing. You were working in that shop working on the instruments.
Right. I deviated. That's right. I deviated from my story. I was
All right,
I went
that's great.
to go back to touch on how I met Frank. But
Yeah, I want to talk about Frank too, actually. Yeah.
Frank and another good friend of mine, Lyles West, and Rich Rosenswag, a drummer. They had and Bobby Mack, Bobby Moss.
Yeah, Moss, sure.
They had a quartet called Hands, and I was living in Charlotte working for John Sipe, and they would come when they would get a gig. They would all stay at my place, and but we'd all go record shopping, the next day after their gig. There were several record stores around Charlotte at that point. Frank and I and Lyles, we'd go hit a couple of record stores. And one day Frank bought this record back, and we'd bring the stuff back and listen to them on my stereo. And Frank had bought this record with Hampton Hawes on piano and Charlie Hayden on bass, called As Long as There's Music.
Yeah,
and it was on the Artist House label.
Yeah,
those beautiful Artist House records that folded out, and they had music and stuff in them, and great liner notes. But Frank put that record on, and I heard Charlie play one note. It's like a low F or something, and it just sucked me in. Yeah. And I just sat there. It's one of those eye-opening, where I just sat there and like, man, this guy, God, what a sound. I just want to. He'd played like maybe 4 notes, I thought, God, that's what I want to do. I want to sound like that. I want to play bass and sound just like that. And he wasn't a pyrotechnical player, but just the sound and the tone and the soul that came through.
Right.
I wanted to try to. So I got interested in upright bass, and fortunately, I was working at a place where I could play them,
Yeah.
And we'd have 1 or 2 for sale, and I would go mess with it. And I bought one. It's like a student model, and I played with it. And then I got to go study with Charlie Hayden.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, in 1985, he did a thing. There's a place.
Not too long. That's not too long. That's not too long after this period that you're talking about, or is it during this period? Actually, you were still working at the store, or was it?
I was still working. Yeah, I was still. Let's see, at 85. At 85.
Yeah.
No, I think I had quit by then.
Yeah.
That's after. Yeah, my son was born in 83, and I quit.
Gotcha. Were you already out playing gigs, and were you already playing gigs with people? I mean, you must have already been playing by then.
Oh, I was playing gigs. Yeah, I was playing lots of gigs.
Yeah. About when did you start playing? About how old were you when you started playing gigs?
I was 26 when I started playing bass.
Okay. Oh, really? Wow. Yeah.
I worked out of Abersol books, Abersol play-alongs. I got the Ron Carter book, right. Walking Bass Lines, and the Ray Brown book. And I took a lesson with a great bass player who's gone now, but back in Greensboro, there was a fellow named Charles Dungy. And he was a great bass player. He lived in Nashville for a while, and I got records with him playing with Lenny Breau, the guitar player.
Yeah. Wow.
So he gave me my first lesson.
Wow.
And he was really a generous guy. He got me started. He just said, just start in the Samandel book, which is one of the basic classical bass. It just shows you how to play the bass, shows you where positions are, where to shift, that type of thing. You just start in the Samandel book, and you can do it. And so that's kind of what it was. I was largely self-taught, listened to a lot of records, and learned to transcribe some bass lines, and just listen to people's styles. Charlie was my first and biggest influence, but I really like Reggie Workman. Reggie Workman is awesome, and Jimmy Garrison. Some of those guys are Wilbur Ware. Charlie was really influenced by Wilbur Ware. So of course I went back and listened to a lot of that stuff. But
I could hear that, man. You know that when we made that quartet record, I mean, I've always been aware of Sam Jones, of course, but that really opened my ears up to Sam Jones more, man. And I got Eastern Rebellion thing with Cedar Walton on piano and George Coleman. Wow, man,
Cedar
Sam
Walton,
Jones
yeah,
blew my
and
mind.
I got that.
Man,
who's the bass player on that? Is it
Sam
Will
Jones.
Lee? Sam Jones,
That's
right,
Sam
right.
Jones.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
right. What am I thinking?
Billy Higgins on
I was
drums.
thinking of Glass. I was thinking of those other records with that same group with Clifford Jordan, like Glass Bead Games.
Okay.
Glass Bead Game. Yeah, with that with Cedar Walton. I think Sam Jones and Billy Higgins was the drummer. Right? Yeah. Big influence. All those guys, man. I mean, you know, I got to meet Ray Brown one time.
Yeah, well.
And he was so nice and very generous. And
you had a story about Ray Brown, man. About you told me something. Didn't you get you asked him for a lesson or something? Didn't you tell me you asked him for a lesson?
Oh no, he played at this place in Charlotte called Maynard's years ago, and he came. There was a piano player here at one time in Charlotte named Newton Thomas. Newton was really good. He was like a bebop player, and he and Ray Brown were friends. And they would play together, and they would play golf together, and hang out and stuff. And he got ready to do a clinic at a McFadden music store, and there were so many people trying to get to him and everything, and I said, Mr. Brown, I said, could you demonstrate, maybe talk a little bit about thumb position, you know, playing up in the up. And he said, yeah, I'd love to, man, but he said, you know, we've got to go back to the hotel and get dinner and get to the gig. And he said, are you going to be there tonight? I said, yes, I am. And he said, we'll get you a seat right in front of the bass. So I got there early, and I got a seat. You know, saw the bass laying there. I got a seat. I was right in front of him, maybe 20 feet away. And the group was Milt Jackson on vibes, and Ronnie Matthews, I think, on piano, Jimmy Roker on drums. I think that's right. But anyway, so Ray was playing, and you know, and he was kind of looking around, and I was right in front of him, and all of a sudden he saw me. He made eye contact with me, and he just kind of looked at me a little bit, and so he got a solo. He got a bass solo, and he went right up into thumb position and played like a textbook thumb position solo. And I was watching his fingers, and I looked at him, and he was looking right at me. He was like, "Here it is, man. Here, I'm laying it down. Are you get?" And every time he took a solo, it was like that. He was almost like pointing the bass in my direction and playing all this thumb position stuff. And afterwards, I got to speak with him, and I said, thanks for the bass lesson, Mr. Brown. And he said, did you get all that, little cuz? And I said, well, I don't know if I got it all, but I said that was quite an education. He was very friendly, generous, great guy.
Great, man. That's great, man. Yeah. So tell me more about
influence too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll say that again.
And a big influence, you know.
Yeah.
All these bass players are so different. I mean, you know, Ray Brown is different from Mingus. Mingus is different from Gary Peacock. You know, Gary Peacock. Yeah, they all are like so worlds apart, but they make their thing happen. You know.
Right.
And that's the thing. The biggest lesson I got from studying and listening with Charlie, listening to Charlie and studying with him is like, yeah, he may not have the facility of someone like you know, John Patitucci or Christian McBride or somebody who can just, you know, get all over the bass, but he makes what he has work, you know.
Right.
And he does what bass players do 95% of the time anyway, is support other musicians, you know.
Right. Sure.
And try to make, as Charlie used to say, try to make everything beautiful.
Yeah, right. Did he say that?
Yeah, that's what he would say. He said, I just want to make everything beautiful.
Yeah,
And
that's great, man. That's what I tell my students, man. Even if it's something really simple, try to make everything you play beautiful.
Yeah.
It's funny. I do Tai Chi in Bagua, and I was up seeing my Tai Chi teacher. My Tai Chi teacher said the same thing to me. He's teaching me Bagua, and I'm sending him these videos, and he's teaching me long distance. And then he wrote back and he said, "Okay, now make it beautiful." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah."
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
It sounds like what I tell my students. So, so tell me some more about Charlie, about studying with Charlie, man. I think that's really fascinating.
Well, it was at the Atlantic Center for the Arts in Florida.
Yeah.
And it's a great facility that's still open. And they had different musicians for a summer studies program. It was a 3 weeks program. And before Charlie came, they had Don Cherry.
Wow.
One year. Elvin Jones was down there. Don Cherry. Carla Bley did a thing. Yeah. And it was just this little place in the middle of a swamp almost. They would have 3 artists for each session. And, I didn't study with all 3, but they had like a playwright. They had Romulus Linney, a famous playwright, and they had a famous sculptor named James Searles and Charlie Hayden.
Wow.
And so we just met every day at 10 o'clock. It was a group of me and maybe 3 or 4 other bass players and a guitar player and a saxophone player. In this room, and Charlie was there, and it was interesting. It was pretty non-structured. He would play us. He would play us examples of things that he dug. A lot of Bill Evans Trio with really? Paul Motion. He played us a lot of examples with Paul Motion. Because he really loved Paul Motion.
Yeah, and they played so well together, man. We did together. God, just
yeah. They played together with Mose Allison.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
Yeah. And excuse me, I got allergies today. It's ragweed.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad right now.
So we would listen to some stuff, and we'd listen to Charlie tell some stories. And we'd ask some questions, and he would get up and play a lot. He played a lot.
That's great. Yeah.
And the first time he picked up his bass and standing 20 feet away from me, played, I was just like, oh my God. So we would take, we'd listen to stuff. We'd take a tune like a rhythm changes tune and just play the bridge. He'd just have us play the bridge over, a series of 2/5s. Or just sometimes the whole tune. And we did that for just like a whole day, just played. Everybody would get up and play over rhythm changes. Segment, I believe, is the tune we were doing. And he would critique us a little bit, He told me that my intonation was bad when I went up in the upper register. He said I needed to work on my intonation when I went up in the upper register. So I said, okay, great, that's fantastic.
Yeah, perfect, right? Yeah.
And but I remember one time I was standing up, I just played something, and he's like, we've got an awesome responsibility as musicians. Like we're the shaman of the modern day. We can make people feel good, and so it's an awesome responsibility. And it was like this whole 20-minute thing about. Somehow it wound up. We were talking about Hiroshima or something, And I'm standing with my bass, and everybody got kind of dark, and I stood there like, he said, okay, play it again. and it was better, I don't know why. Maybe it was more focused, and I don't know what it was, but he never talked about like technique or reading music or anything. It was, spiritual. esque kind of,
right,
and a lot of stories, and a lot of playing and hanging out, going out to eat. Sometimes that's just as important, just sitting across the table from somebody, to talk.
Sure, man.
He was extremely generous, and I could ask him anything, but that, he was my first and biggest influence on the bass for sure.
I can hear it, man. Yeah. You've got that kind of
many, in the past.
To me, you have that kind of soulful approach to playing as well. I mean,
I appreciate it.
That's the thing. I try to convey this to my students too. Is the most important thing is how does it feel, man? What you're playing, how does it feel? Is the groove good? What makes people want to play with you is if it feels good.
Right. Yeah.
So
I was talking with Frank about that one time, and he said in New York, nobody ever says, man, wow, did you hear that guy's technique the other night? It's like, well, wow, man, did you hear all those notes that guy played in solo? He said, anytime anybody talks about another musician, it's like, man, his feel, his time, his sound.
Right.
That's the first thing that comes up. And that's, I think I was lucky to have an influence like Charlie to make that something that comes up first,
Yeah.
Because the other stuff you can learn later.
Because what? Because say that
the other stuff you can learn later.
Oh yeah, right. But you got to have that feel, right?
Right.
Yeah. So tell me some more about Frank. Frank's a mutual friend. In fact, I met Frank. Was kind of introduced to him through you because you recorded some with him.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the first place I heard Frank playing was on some of your recordings.
I met Frank at ASU. Like I said, he was from Roxborough, North Carolina. Yeah. And we played together in the jazz big band, and hung out a lot. Frank was always in the practice room, and he was kind of a self-taught dude because there was no jazz piano teacher there at ASU at the time. Wow. And he would stay in the practice room all day, and we go get him and say, come on, let's go get something to eat, Frank. Come on, let's get some fresh air, Frank. He would be this. He'd go in here and he'd be playing Stella by Starlight. And he would, or something like that. He would say, "This is how Gary Peacock. This is how Herbie Hancock would play it," and he would play it in the style of Herbie. This is how Bill Evans would play it. He would play it in the style of Bill Evans. But Frank was, he was had perfect pitch. His mom was a piano teacher. He was oldest of like 4 or 5 brothers.
Yeah, right.
And he had perfect pitch, and he was one of the most brilliant musicians I've ever known. And we like to say we kind of grew a lot together. We discovered a lot of jazz together, and he got to go to New York. He and some other friends of mine got to go, and I had just gotten married and was expecting, my wife was expecting a baby, and I was like, oh man, them guys are going to New York and I got to be here. But at that point, I don't think I was ready. I just started playing bass,
Right. Yeah.
But Frank, we stayed good friends. I mean, we were good friends all the way up until he passed. We talk to each other on the phone about once a month or sometimes more. He would say, "Oh, have you heard so-and-so's new record? And got to check this out." And when I go to New York, we would go shop. We would go to Tower Records when it was open, Yeah. And a bunch of other little obscure record places that Frank knew about. But yeah, I learned a lot from Frank, and helped me turn me on to a lot of good music. And
he's a good guy. I wish I'd gotten to know him better, before he left. But remember you and I met in Roxborough and heard him play that solo piano concert.
Yeah,
that's the first time I met him, actually. And then I ended up going to New York to study with him for 4 or 5 days. I got a grant from the city here.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
So we went up and spent a few days studying with Frank and talking to, like you said, having lunch and talking for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
From that, I got a lot out of that.
He walk you all over town too. That guy would walk you. He would never take the subway or get a cab in Manhattan. He would walk for 5 miles, man. Oh man.
So man, it's about. I hate to wrap this up. I don't want to wrap it up, but it's a quarter after, and I want to ask you a couple of other sort of questions about a few things. First of all, you and I have made a couple of CDs together. You've been on a couple of my trio CDs, playing some of my music, and then we made that quartet CD together, which I think is just great, man. I'm really proud of that CD. In fact, I'm out of them. I can't. I thought but I'm out. But I really love that CD. And I want to ask you, what else do you have? What else are you doing right now? What other projects do you have going on currently?
Well, I have my own quartet. I was doing the tribute to the bass players project.
Right.
And I still do some of those tunes, and I still want to do some more with you too.
We'll get to that. Yeah,
but we'll get to. After the pandemic and everything, it just seemed like that was already kind of yesterday's news. So I got a quartet with two electric guitars, and I play about half electric bass and about half acoustic or Marcoustic. my Marcoustico bass that I got.
Oh yeah, the new bass. Yeah, you play.
It sounds like an upright. I mean, it works really well. Yeah.
Sounds great, man. I couldn't. If I had my back turned, I don't think I could tell the difference.
Nobody can. I was up at Colstein's bass shop, and I played a recording of it for the guy in Colstein. I said, "Hey, you want to hear my new bass?" And he was like, "Ooh, what a beautiful tone, what a rich tone." I said, "You want to see a picture of it?" He was like, "What the?"
That's great.
So it's pretty amazing. But yeah, that quartet I'm trying to book. Yeah. We do a little more, I guess, lack of a better word, out kind of stuff. The two guitar players, Troy Kahn and Scott Sawyer, are very pedal laden, texture happy guitar players. That's what I should call it, the texture happy quartet. But they can get a lot of sounds out of two guitars. Yeah. And so we do some stuff, some of my more, outsider material. Yeah, I think avant-garde is probably not the right word anymore, but.
So let me ask you about that. Is it stuff that you've written? Is it original material?
Yeah. Most of it's original.
Can I ask you something about that? Because part of what this podcast is about exposing young musicians to learning about playing and learning about writing. And I like to talk about composing. In fact, I just I sent you that article I wrote that I'm going to make an episode out of about composing for jazz. So how do you think about writing something like that? How do you approach it?
You mean like that type of music?
Yeah, or whatever in general. Is there a certain way that you approach writing stuff? Or
well, I don't do something I should do, which is sit down and try to write something every day. I don't do that. I usually have to get an idea that floats around in my head. It comes in different ways. Like my tune, Rhizome, the one you played at Rhizome in 11. Sure. Right. I wrote that bass line one night when the power was out in my house. And I couldn't do anything, except play my bass. And I was just kind of in the dark and candlelight. And I just was playing these riffs. And I started playing that one over and over again. I'm like, so I wrote it down and realized it was an 11. Yeah. And the one I wrote a couple during the pandemic. One's called Pacing. And it's kind of like, the inspiration sort of came from Dave Holland. Some of those things he did for ECM back in 90s.
Absolutely,
It was kind of like angular. It was kind of, I was trying to convey the feeling of being confined and not being able to go out and not being able to do anything. So I was pacing, you know. That I got the inspiration from that. I think songs kind of, I'm inspired by things to write.
Yeah, me too.
You know, just sometimes if you're just messing around on your instrument and you'll hit a couple of, you play a melody or an interval and it's like, oh, that, you know, write that down, you know, or record it, you know, and, but it comes in different ways. I don't.
It's my experience too. Yeah.
But I've been getting some work in the last 2 or 3 years arranging string parts for people's records.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And that's you know, I'm a really late bloomer at that. But you know, the things that I'm doing are not very difficult. I mean, you know, there's a lot of singer-songwriter stuff with string quartet or string trio. But that's fun. That's a whole different mindset, you know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely, man.
But yeah, so I've got that my quartet, and I'm playing with a group in Charlotte that's really fun. It's a lot of fun. I play electric bass on this. It's called Jazz is Led, LED, like Led Zeppelin, and we play Led Zeppelin songs with a jazz fusion quartet consisting of electric bass, electric guitar, electric violin, and drums.
Wow.
It's like our arrangements of the Led Zeppelin songs, a lot of deep cuts. We have a lot of deep cuts. And a lot of, you know, we take a lot of liberties with time, like we do that's, you know, Moby Dick. I don't know if you know that Led Zeppelin thing, Moby Dick. We do that in 5, you know, stuff like that. And so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a different thing for me because I've been playing more electric bass lately. Some out of necessity and some out of just fun, you know. I injured my shoulder, as you know, a couple of years ago, and my left shoulder it's coming pretty well. I'm doing more and more gigs on upright without much pain, without, you know.
That's great, man.
So, and those two things, my thing there, and the Jazz is Led, keep me busy. Plus, I do the first Friday of every month at the Beckler Museum.
Yeah, right.
We have guests come in every month. We had Christian Tambour on Vibes last week.
Okay.
And we got Justin Ray, I think next month, coming down from Asheville to do Art Blakey. We know it's a themed thing, you know, like we had Lavelle Bradford came in. We did the music of Cedar Walton a couple months ago.
I've done a couple of those with you.
Yeah, you have. You've done a couple of them. You did the McCoy Tyner one.
We did the McCoy Tyner thing, and we did one night we did a Latin jazz.
That's with Nelson Ria on bass.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Great.
That that was fun, man. The McCoy thing was challenging, man. That was high energy, man.
Yeah. Oh man, it was. But yeah, I've been busier in the last 3 weeks than I have been, I think, even since before the pandemic.
Well, good, man.
I made a decision kind of to scale back on what I'm doing. You know, I'm not taking not now anyway. I'm not taking every brewery gig, you know, that comes my way.
Sure.
I want to play the gigs that are fun with people I like playing with, and
absolutely.
And it's turning out pretty nicely.
Yeah, that's good. It's more fulfilling, man, when you play music that means something.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I got tired of playing gigs when I'd get in the car, you know, after the gig, it was like bummed out.
Yeah, right.
Or, you know, man, I wasted so much time learning this music, and whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But now I'm trying to play stuff that's fun and with people that I like.
Absolutely, man.
And that's what it's all about. It's about, for me right now, it's about getting back to the reason I got into music in the first place.
Yeah, we've talked about this before,
Yeah. Which I mean, the reason that I wanted to play music was because it was fun,
Yeah, right.
That's why I wanted it to be fun,
Sure, right,
and
exactly.
and I look at some of these guys. I know friends of mine who are not professional musicians. They have a day job, but they have a band that they play in. It's fun for them, and they love it. And then they're just as much into it as I am,
Sure.
And I thought, that's not such a bad thing.
Yeah,
I remember when James Cleveland, the trombone player, came to ASU for a clinic one time. He was talking to the music students. That's when I was teaching as an adjunct there. He said, when you guys are going to be music majors, that means you're going to be playing for a living. It means you're going to be playing a lot of music you don't really care about,
Yeah.
And he said, if you really want to play music you care about, which I think he just meant jazz, he said, if you really want to play the music you care about, you got to get yourself some apartments. so that way you make your money from rent, you don't have to worry about, then you can play what you want, It's like, to me, it sounded weird at the time as a younger person, but now I'm like, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I think that's one reason I'm focused so much on teaching now, because I like teaching for one thing, but focus on the music that you like,
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. At one point in my life, I wanted to be a utilitarian musician. I just wanted to be able to go out and play shows, go out and do this, go out, do stuff. And then I wound up doing that to a little of an extent, but I wound up playing a lot of music I just like, I don't care about it. And the reason I got into music was to have fun and to care about what I'm playing.
Play music you like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. With people, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, man, I know you got to go in just a minute. I want to say you and I are playing together November 12th here in Greenville at the Sigel Music Museum. We haven't had a lot of chances. We played together once this summer up at in Saluda.
Back in July.
Recently, so I'm looking forward to playing with you. We're going to play some new stuff. I got some new tunes that we're going to play together, I hope.
Yeah, I've been listening to them, what you sent.
Yeah, I'm going to send some more. But and also, I hope at some point, we're going to make another CD when we get around writing stuff. I just wrote 2 new tunes in the last couple of weeks. So I'm trying to get some more material for us to play as well. And I actually wrote a tune for Ron. It's called Walk, Don't Ron.
Walk, Don't Ron.
Walk, W-O-K, walk, like walk, don't run.
Walk, don't R-O-N, Ron.
Yeah, for Ron, yeah, for you, man.
Oh.
It's free form. It's a free improv tune,
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of, I love that.
Yeah,
I love playing that way. To me, that's, I'd love playing in that style because to me, it exemplifies everything there is about jazz. I
agree.
And a lot of people mistakenly think, oh, well, you're just playing anything that comes into your head, but you're not. You're playing with other people, and you're playing. You're playing the essence of the song.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. Well, we're going to do some of that on November 12th. So.
Oh yeah, man, that'd be fun.
So anything else you want to say here? Your website is ronbrendle.com. Is that right?
Yes.
And people should go check it out. I'm sitting here. Actually, I have it pulled up here on my tablet. And, man, you've got quite a discography, quite a varied discography here, all kind of different styles of things,
Well, that's one of the things I really dug about Charlie, in the beginning was like he could, play with Ornette Coleman. He could play with Pee Wee Russell,
Yeah, right.
Playing traditional New Orleans. He could play with Ricky Lee Jones. He'd play with James Cotton, the blues harmonica. I played, and that's one of the inspiring things I dug about Charlie.
Yeah, that's great, man. Well, anything else you want to say here before we sign off this time?
Well, I want to congratulate you on your podcast. And
oh, well, thanks. I'm going to launch it here pretty soon. You'll be my first interview.
I'm looking forward to the gig on November 12th.
Yeah, me too. And hopefully many more to come.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out Notes on Jazz. If you want to communicate with me, I offer free consultations. Just check the podcast notes for a link. You can also find a link to my website for CDs, downloads, and videos. See you next time at Notes on Jazz.